It's 8 o'clock on a Friday evening, so you already know what's about to happen. It's the West Virginia live stream here on the Voice of College Football West Virginia edition. Appreciate everybody that comes out and supports this channel. And if you're not a subscriber already, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button. We do all things West Virginia. Now, today, we're going to have me, Golden Blue Dude, Couz from Couz's Corner, and Wolfman, legendary Wolfman, Dale Wolfley. How you guys doing this evening?
Doing great.
Excellent day.
Did y'all have a good week?
Be here with you, gentlemen.
Oh yeah, I'm ready to have some fun. I am ready to have some fun. Is there anything before we get started? Is there anything new that's happened in the past 24 hours, maybe 48 hours that I'm not aware of? Sometimes I'm a little behind on things.
Football related?
Football related.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, nobody's hit the transfer portal. We haven't gotten any transfers. We're all caught up on that.
Yeah, Mayday's coming, right?
Yep, that's right. That's why I wanted to make sure, because Mayday is almost here. So every day you never know what's going to happen as far as somebody jumping into the portal or coming out of the portal to West Virginia. I'm hearing a lot of interest from the name escapes my mind right off the top of my head, but I'm hearing a lot of interest from a linebacker from Miami. Is there anything that y'all are hearing about that?
Not me.
Okay.
I can't go private info on that because I don't know.
Yeah, he's.
I got you.
He's supposed to. I heard he's coming on a visit next week.
Yes, that's what I heard too.
Tyreek Austin Cave, is that correct?
Yes, that's the one.
I think. I hope I didn't screw his name up, but that's out of Miami.
Wolfman, check this out. We have subscribers of all fan bases. Right now, we actually have a South Carolina subscriber, very loyal subscriber to my channel. But that's just the reach that we have right now. So I'm very proud of that. Our reach is expanding, and I haven't told a lot of people this story. Real quick, the reason I started my channel is whenever I was looking at YouTube, I saw Georgia, Oklahoma, Clemson, Ohio State, USC, all these bigger brands with these fan-based YouTube channels out there in the tens of thousands, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 subscribers. So I'm like, all right, so let me go find the biggest West Virginia. At that time, the biggest West Virginia fan-based YouTube channel, under 1,000. Okay, fast forward 3 years later, almost 3 years later, I'm past 6,000. Couz is almost at 2,000. I had another guest. He's over 1,000. So the brand, as far as on YouTube, is also growing as well. So I'm very happy about that, because people don't realize how big the fan base of West Virginia is. They always want to go by that 1.8, 1.9 million, state population. They don't realize the true reach of the West Virginia fan base. So I'm very excited about that. And, just the fact that people know how passionate we are, and we're all over the place. I live in the upstate of South Carolina, and I see them all over the place. There's watch parties at bars, whatever you want to call it. And there's a main room for the fan base that has the biggest fan base, who brings the most fans on a consistent basis, gets that main room. It has the most TVs. You get the best service. And it's always a battle between the West Virginia fan base and the Ohio State fan base. We are going toe-to-toe against the Ohio State fan base here in the upstate of South Carolina.
Would you expect anything different? I don't.
I wouldn't. No, sir.
But let me say this, right off to your South Carolina fan. I've had a couple buddies that played for South Carolina. They had probably the best logo on their T-shirts. They said, "You can't cock."
Yeah. Oh yeah, you see a lot of that around here. Well, you see more Clemson stuff, but you see your fair amount of South Carolina stuff.
You're muted, Dale. You're muted, Wolfman.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now you're good.
Yeah, Tommy too, my partner, just called in there and he just screwed up the whole darn thing. But anyways, talking about South Carolina, we played there. They played 2001 Space Odyssey before the game. I'll tell you that story. That's crazy there. They were probably, I want to say we played 11 games. They're 4-7, 5-6. It was a full sold-out stadium, 80,000 there in Columbia. So I got a lot of respect for that fan base. They've had some success over recent years. Hasn't always been that in the SEC. So I do enjoy their fan base.
Oh, absolutely. So Wolfman, were you at the spring game?
It sure was, buddy.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to talk about real quick. I was able to kind of sort of watch a replay of it, but I wasn't there, so maybe your perspective can
Wait a
be.
minute. Wait a second. How do you watch a replay and not even get my voice? If you watch the ESPN replay, that was me with
Well, no,
Andrew
not the
Creedy.
ESPN. No, on YouTube. Whenever because I don't have that yet. I couldn't find it on ESPN, so I had to go by a separate person that did it themselves.
I will send it to you, man. I got it. I'll get you covered. You can hear the great call of Andrew Creedy, not Tony Creedy, but Andrew Creedy, who did a fantastic knock the ball out of the park job. And I was just there to ride along his coattails.
I hear you, man. Definitely send that to me because I definitely want to see that. Yeah, that one has to be better. Not that the other one was bad, but I know yours is better. So what I want to kind of sort of, I don't want to phrase this the wrong way. I'm going to say get out of the way because we want to focus on the offense because that's the thing that everybody's worried about. But I want to talk about the defense first because under Neil Brown, from year to year, we've lost some top talent because what we've done at West Virginia since Neil Brown's been here is actually develop that talent. And part of the game is, the transfer portal. It happens. But that's a sign of good things. That means we're actually, coaching our players up. From 2020 to 2021, we lost Tyke Smith from that great defense. And then last year to this year, Mesidor. So there are some questions on defense, but what were some of the bright spots that you saw on defense?
Well, the greedy gang, the defensive line, they are pretty spectacular. That's going to include a little bit of the bandit position, the stand-up rush. Also will be a backer in a blitzing situation. Your Jared Bartlett's, your Linnell Carrs, Torres Simmons will be more to the other side, defensive end. So we got some young talent right there with those three guys. I thought Neil talked about that Jared Bartlett and Linnell Carr probably had the most improved spring of any defenders on the Mountaineer team this spring. So really encouraging to see because we need that pass rush. Because when you think about it, and we need that pass rush from the greedy gang as well, the other defensive linemen. Because again, and you heard Neil Brown, Jordan Leslie talking, we're going to play more man this year, more man coverage. Well, the true effect of man coverage is that the defensive line or backers, whoever may be in a pressure package situation, has to get to the quarterback and speed up because it's crazy hard to run all the time, all day long in man coverage. That's why some teams play zone because they don't have the athletes, the athleticism to actually compete with the wide receivers in the Big 12 or really any Power 5 school or any great receiver be able to run with them. That's why cornerbacks, safeties are so in demand, let's say, especially when in demand when you're running man.
That was one thing that I wanted to ask you. As soon as you said we're going to switch over to more man, I wanted you to give the reason, and you did. The reason we're switching over to man or more man is because Neil Brown has been recruiting speed and length. Whenever he first got to West Virginia, we didn't have the speed and the length that it takes to run man consistently and effectively. It seems now that, since he's had several recruiting classes, that we now have that speed and that length. So
we're getting there. We're getting there.
Exactly.
Still, these guys are young. They're very talented. They're very athletic, but they're very fast. So again, but they're also very young. And they actually did some good things in the spring game for me that I saw. That was a lot of encouragement. But we really have to build some depth in that back end.
Yeah.
I really liked what I saw out of Andrew Wilson-Lamp. He had a couple nice pass breakups.
Well, he's 6'2", right?
Yeah.
Long arms. His problem is still $174. So again, he's only a redshirt freshman.
Right.
Coming from a spring redshirt freshman, he's going to have a whole nother summer to get up there, get up to speed, and he's going to have fall camp. So again, he's nowhere near where he's going to be, but you got to like a 6'2" corner. Yeah.
Yes,
That's what you're looking
absolutely.
for, man.
Yeah, and a fighter at that. He has the athleticism and the heart. Sometimes it's hard to find that combination. You know, they might have the heart, but they don't necessarily have the size and the speed, so they try to make up for it with the heart. And you love them guys. They'll fight for you all day long. But once you start getting those guys that have the speed and athleticism and the heart, then you got an amazing defense on deck. So I'm excited. I'm excited for what I'm seeing.
Especially if you got a guy from Massillon, Ohio, and Washington High School, because they know what football is, and they know what they know when you say heart, talent, and skill. They know what you're talking about.
So has our pipeline to Ohio, has it actually strengthened under Neil Brown? That's one of the things that I wanted to explore here. As far as our pipelines, what pipelines do we need to work on, and what pipelines have improved?
Okay, well, here's your generic answer, so that anyone that you're talking to, you don't sound silly. We need to work on all of our pipelines. We have to get better at all of them, and that includes Florida to West Virginia to Ohio. Going up there to doing some Jersey stuff now. I mean, you got your Georgia, Alabama, more guys out of that. Doing some Carolinas. I mean, we got to work that whole coast, man, right up and down, and we got to be efficient in every single way. And even though it's a generic answer, it is the truth. Because if you go ahead and you start winning on all those categories, all those connections, all those pipelines, and now you're what I call cooking with some seriously good grease. So I'm from Buffalo, right? So we cook a lot of chicken wings, and we cook with some seriously good chicken wing grease. That means you're on top of the world, man. And that's what we need to be cooking. We got a Bills there. There you go. Oh, man, I'll tell you what, I'm all about the Bills now. But that's a different subject. So, again, go ahead, working those pipelines and being efficient at every single one. We don't have the ability to let down anywhere. We have to get better and better at each different pipeline and school and connections. And you saw Dante right up there getting it going again in Pittsburgh, which I think we haven't been as strong as we have been in the past. And I see that Dante's working that with the major, making sure that he's going to get to know all those guys as much as he can so that they have a confidence when they send people away from that 4-letter word Pitt, that they send them 90 miles south to Morgantown. They're going to be happy and confident in what the coaching job that Neil and staff can do.
Exactly. I'm going to hand this off to Couz after I give this statement. But the one state that I wish West Virginia would get a little stronger in is the state of Texas. There is a wealth of talent in the state of Texas. So if there would be one request that I think we need to develop a pipeline, it would be to the state of Texas. What about you, Couz?
I agree, but I know Dana, when he first came in, if I'm not mistaken, he tried to recruit Texas really hard, and it just didn't pan out. I mean, we got some guys, but nothing. And then he kind of went back to sticking with the old traditional pipelines of Ohio, Pennsylvania, and it seemed like we started getting better talent at that point. At least I thought we did.
Yeah, and then you got a Will Greer too.
Yeah.
So that helped, right? Because back in my day when I was playing, I was a really good football player, right? But it surely helped when I got major hairs. They make a huge difference. But again, I'm just teasing, guys. But I agree with exactly all you're saying.
But I don't know if that was and I'm not bashing Dana at all. This is not my intent, but maybe Neil can do it. Maybe Neil's staff can do a better job recruiting Texas than they did. I don't know. But I don't know. I'd like to see us get more. And Wolfman, maybe you can answer this better. It seems to me like our pipeline to Florida has started to diminish a little bit. Are you seeing that at all?
No, I don't think so. I think what's happened is you've seen a couple guys go to Florida in the transfer portal, and that kind of makes you feel kind of a little negative. And now we're still recruiting hard down in Florida. I know that, and I think we have to, must. But I do like how we've transferred to Georgia and Alabama as well, because that's good football too. And to come out and answer your question about Texas, I got to say that there's probably about 15 other schools that have much more of an influence, maybe 20, than West Virginia in Texas. So that's a really hard pull. But you got to pull out there, and you have, I don't know, I think there's 5 Power 5s there, in Texas. With you got Baylor, TCU, A&M, obviously Texas Tech, and then Texas. So you got 5 Power Fives there. There's no doubt in my mind to try to combat with them without having any special friendships, any special ties. That trying to combat with them is going to be a difficult situation at best.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
When
Houston is about to make it 6, and they'll be in the Big 12, so that's gonna bump it up even more.
Well, how can we forget about our buddy Dana? How can we forget about
to play them? I cannot wait to play them.
Well, I bet you he feels the same way. I think he's got something in his pockets too that he wants to get out there. But it'll be good competition. It'll be excellent. Yeah. And down in Houston, man, they got some facilities, they got some money. They got a lot of things that they would be able to be prepared to come in and do some more things than maybe consistently at Cincinnati. Now, I know where Cincinnati was this past season. Don't know they're going to be able to maintain that. We'll see, though. We'll see about that. But, again, Houston's got a lot of firepower that they could use in their resources. So don't underestimate the Cougars under Dana Holgorsen.
Absolutely.
Wolfman, one thing I was concerned about is when we lost Travis Trickett, because he was our big Florida recruiter.
Absolutely.
And I heard Neil say in a press conference that they were going to have Tony Washington recruiting Florida, but does he have a background recruiting Florida?
Well, what he has is that he's legitimate. He's an NFL player. That was an NFL player. So that gives you credibility wherever you may go. And right. Travis Trickett, let me tell you something about Travis. First of all, the Trickett family, from Pops to everybody down the line, I absolutely love them as a family. They're such good people. Travis Trickett was an incredible recruiter. We will certainly have issues trying to come up and compensate for Travis Trickett in the recruiting. There's just no way. He's that good. And that's why down there in Tampa, South Florida wanted him and wanted him to be a coordinator. So he is worth his weight in gold. But, yeah, we're going to be okay, man. We've always been okay in Florida, always, because we are mounted. I mean, I think the biggest move out of West Virginia, besides Charlotte, North Carolina, and the surrounding areas, is Florida. There's no doubt in my mind that's where the most of our fan base outside of the state is, besides, of course, Carolina. And with that being said, we got guys down there working. I mean, if you saw the bandit, Ja'Cory Hammond, where was he from? He was from Northwest Miami. Well, guess who was the 1988 team captain from Northwest in Miami? Robert Pickett, man. He was picked, big pick. I mean, that was a great influence for Ja'Cory, who's now redshirt freshman, to come on up. So, again, as I can give you situation after situation that West Virginia, no matter who we have, should always maintain a strong presence in Florida. Especially there's a lot of players in that Tampa, Orlando area now. It's not just South Florida. It's up there and getting a little bit northern too, up on the north side of Jacksonville up there. So, again, good spots in Florida. And now there's so many people migrating to Florida, they're just going to get better.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Before we jump back to the spring game, I wanted to say I do think that Neil Brown's locked down the state of West Virginia, and I think that was the first piece of business that he needed to do. Dana Holgorsen failed to get the top talent out of the state of West Virginia year in and year out. And we all know that West Virginia is not a hotbed of talent, but you have to take care of home base first. You have to lock that down first and then, branch out from there. So I wanted to say that I think Neil Brown has done a great job of locking down the state of West Virginia. I'm very happy to see that. And I think we will continue to do that under Neil Brown. Going back to the spring game. Talking about
no. We got to talk about that.
Okay.
We got to talk, okay, because that's got something a lot more than what you're even talking about to it. And that is, what did you just see in the spring game? 3 of the 4 Iron Mountaineers were what? West Virginians.
Yep.
The Tommy Nikolic Award went to Nick Malone here out of Morgantown, where I live. Okay, so there's a lot of West Virginians that not only Dante Stills, your Zach Frazier's, your Wyatt Milams, okay? There's a lot more, or your Sean Martins, okay? Yeah. There's more to – Neil is trying to not only lock down West Virginia, but he wants to build that walk-on program. Oh, what is it? Marquand Rucker, Rucker, who scored the last touchdown in the spring game. Obviously, you have Grayson Milishevitz. You know, I'm saying Milishevitz. Okay, what a name. I love it. He's an Iron Mountaineer, but he's done so much. You know, bringing Doug Nestor up there out of that Huntington area. I think it's the Spring Valley High School, if I'm not mistaken. And so all these guys are playing a really important role. Don't forget about those walk-ons that develop. They stay with West Virginia. They're here to stay. They develop, and you don't know what they can do from there. So, again, yes, we are missing because of the state population, but let's not forget about those walk-ons that are developing in the program under Mike Joseph, under Neil Brown, the rest of the coaching staff, but they are so important.
Well said. Well said. Yeah, that was one of the reasons why I was saying that. We had the state lockdown and the walk-on developing the players from West Virginia. Very, very important. So that was a good point right there that you brought up. Going back to the spring game real quick, we talked about the defensive line getting a nice push. What did you see out of our linebackers as far as, you know, maybe some blitz packages, getting back to coverage and one-on-one tackles?
In the spring game?
Yeah.
You didn't see much. Now, the one touchdown pass to Sam James over the head where Rand Stinson was trailing him was a great job by Goose, Will Crowder, to go ahead and see that six-man defensive blitz coming out with the two corners. Yes. He found that that assignment that he had there. It was just you know, it was totally a mismatch. That's what you look for, is mismatches. And what I love about that, man, what gets me really fired up, is he recognized it, and they were coming, and he stood right in there and put a ball up. That was a drop in the bucket. It was a beautiful throw. But again, for blitzing, it was mostly vanilla.
Right.
What you don't want Pitt to see anyways.
As long as nobody was missing assignments, you know, it's not going to be like regular game action. The offense, though, I am super excited about the offense. Several things I liked. Number one, the offensive line getting a massive push. Last year, the biggest thing that we were missing from the offensive line, it was that push. It was up to the running backs to find the hole when a hole was created. This year, it looks like they're going to have 2 yards to work with before they even have to find the hole. That was incredible. What a massive difference as far as seeing a push from last year to this year. Now, you know, how much that will translate into actual game action, I'm not sure how that works, but it looks really good to me.
Well, there's nothing better than saying is that you got some boys that will protect you if you're the quarterback or the running backs. Some guys that will put themselves in between you and harm's way to make sure that you can be successful in your endeavors, running the ball, throwing the ball, whatever it may be. That is what an offensive line psyche is. And, you know, if you go through any sport, you go ahead and tell me if you can think of any sport where there's a position created solely to protect the quarterback or running backs or receivers. Think about it. Is there any other position in sports that were there to protect? I mean, are the defenders in soccer there solely to protect the goalie? No, I mean, it's not. They're playing defense, right? This is the only sport where offensive linemen have that psyche, very gregarious guys. I mean, they're just good dudes, man. And they can get full of piss and vinegar too, just like any defensive lineman. But again, they are there to protect. And they're our true gladiators, man, with the white light. You know what I'm saying? And an offensive line, as well as the defensive line, they win games. They win games. And if you have an offensive line that you feel strongly about and can go ahead, mix in the passing game so that they can't put 8, 9 guys in the box and load up against your offensive line because you have success in the passing game to spread the defense out. You follow me there? So you're spreading the defense out. It opens up the running game. And then you have 4 running backs like the Mountaineers have, which they all have a little different skill set, but they can all catch the ball as well. It bodes very well to have that ability to find the guy. And I got to tell you right now that, you know, Tony Mathis seems like he's just ready. He's been waiting under Letty, waiting to go. You saw the last few games last year, and he came out to play. But again, in the spring game, I developed a nickname for him last week. because all he does is do the jump cut. You know what a jump cut is? When you're in there, you sit there, you're running back, and it's like Barry Sanders, right? All of a sudden you stop and you jump, and then you jump from here to here, and then here to here, really quick, and they break legs and they break ankles. Okay, well, Justin Johnson Jr., right? I mean, the jump cut, man, I'm telling you, he was really, really looking successful. Lynn J. Dixon, he ran over that guy in the end zone. You got to love that.
Yes, that was amazing.
I mean, he can run around you. He can run past you. Well, could he run through you? He showed that he could. And then Jalen Anderson out of Ohio. You talked about Ohio. There's a running back that was 2 years first team All-State coming right out of Ohio. And he looked super good. And he's had a really good spring. So, Chad Scott's got some stuff to work with there and figure some stuff out. But I see all four of them being some type of contributor this season.
Oh, I agree. I want to ask Couz this question. From what we saw from the spring game, maybe not necessarily totally based on the running backs because we didn't see a super heavy dose of any one running back, but based on what we saw from the abilities of the offensive line, maybe combined with the running backs, how much better, if any, do you think the running game will be this year?
Well, I think it'll be head and shoulders better because the blocking that I'm seeing from these running backs versus last year is night and day. I mean, last year, I think that was really the one thing that kept Justin Johnson off the field was he was struggling in pass blocking. I don't think he's going to struggle this year.
And what did Chad Scott say in one of our Country Roads podcasts this spring ball? I said, what's the best thing you can say about your running backs? Is it that they're running great here, they're gaining yards here, or this or that? He goes, no. The best thing is that they recognized every single blitz this spring, and they didn't miss it because they didn't recognize it. Not saying they didn't miss it because of a physical issue, but they didn't miss seeing it. So that's a huge thing. Chad Scott, that was episode 2 or 3 of the Country Roads podcast.
Yeah, I remember hearing that.
Check it out.
I was very encouraged by that. By the way, I've seen every episode of that Wolfman.
Oh, yeah, you know what, man? I tell you, I was that with Amanda there, huh? She's pretty special.
Amazing.
She gets in there, and she gets those questions. She takes no crap from those guys, and she makes them talk, and we just have a good time. And it was so informative. Now, I was just told you I did the spring game for ESPN, and those 6 episodes, well, I guess the 5 before the spring game, gave me so much information because we actually interviewed 30 players and 4 coaches besides Neil. Wow. And I got so much information that it was easy to prepare for because those guys just got in there. They were talked. They were in a friendly environment. They knew that we weren't out to get them, get here or there, nor anywhere. And they just really opened up to us. And I want to tell everybody, please go watch Country Roads Trust podcast at countryroadstrust.com because that's our NIL. And that's who we're going to the most part to make sure that we are successful in name, image, and likeness. And very important to support and understand why we're doing the things we're doing.
Absolutely.
Exactly. That is literally the future of West Virginia football right there. So if you're a West Virginia fan, if you can, you need to contribute as much as you can. So going back to the offense, what you said kind of reminded me of what happened last year as far as not missing assignments. Maybe what we saw last year as far as the offensive line struggling, and then after the bye week, we saw them get better and better and better. It wasn't necessarily their skill set or their physicality or their hands or their stance, anything like that. Maybe it was they weren't reading the situation right. They weren't reading formations right or the calls right. And maybe this year the communication is much better because that's what it looks like to me. What do you think about that?
Yeah, one more year of experience. One more year in the weight room with Mike Joseph, who's absolutely the finest strength coach in the country. I don't care who. I'll put him up against anybody. Okay?
Yeah.
That's a different subject. And I'm going to say this. Okay, so let's break it down, man, right? Let's go there. Let's start off with our freshman All-American who's now going to be a sophomore, Wyatt Milam. Okay, dude, I don't think he didn't give up a sack or a pressure all spring, I don't believe. He went to right tackle. He was not left tackle like he was last year. Now he's at he's right tackle, vice versa that. Now he's at left tackle, and he looks like he's a skilled veteran offensive line who's got a little more kick in his can because he's stronger than he was last year. Again,
he looks more comfortable too.
He looks very comfortable, And he's just so natural. He's got bend. They call it an offensive lineman. They call it bend. What does that mean? That means bending your knees, being comfortable moving with the bend your knees so you can react either way, forward or even backwards. Even with the bull rush, be able to sit it down against a heavy bull. And that's really what he's been doing. So let's take a look then. We go to left guard James GBD. He's a redshirt senior, right? Now this kid's from Pittsburgh. The other kid's from West Virginia, right? Down there at Spring Valley High School. So again, now you got a guy who's just 90 miles away from West Virginia, okay, who cares? Bethel Park, his head coach was a Mountaineer in Matheny. So again, you have Wyatt Milam at left tackle, James GBD, who I call him Rhino Head, but he's not anymore. He's good. He's actually learned how not to be. He's a tough kid. Tough. Well, he's a man now. He's a father too. What am I even doing calling him a kid? So then you go to Zach Frazier at center, who is probably the second strongest guy in the team behind Jordan Jefferson, JJ, and the defensive line nose guard. And Zach's right there, but his strength is amazing. He's a junior. I think he's going to be really, really special. He already is as a second team, Welter Camp, All-American. And then you go to Doug Nestor. All right, so Doug comes in from Virginia Tech. We'll forgive him for that awful move to begin with. And now, of course, he's with us and the Mountaineers. But he had that darn cast on his arm. And trying to go ahead and block and get that cast, it's a disaster. Let me tell you something. I've been in that situation. Actually, in spring ball, I had to go with 2 thumb casts. And what it did is it made me go ahead and punch people instead of catching because I couldn't hold them. Okay, and I know that Doug couldn't hold those guys when he needed to hold them. And that's just all the game inside leverage, man. It all goes in there. It's all fair. And then, of course, we look at Brandon Yates. So Brandon had a tough winter conditioning. He was injured a couple times, injured a little bit in spring ball, but he's had a strong game, strong showing. Jaquay Hubbard at right tackle has also been coming along, playing really well. And I wanted to say this, man, is I like this offensive line. We got some young guys, Jordan White there at center or a guard. We just got some young guys that are tough. I think we're going to be working with 8 to 10, where we can stick in there this next year coming up, especially 8, maybe not 10 fully there. They're ready to play, but 8 guys that are there, and you can get away with 8 guys usually on an offensive line. And this offensive line stays together. Then he had in Michael O'Loughlin at tight end, comes back, gets healthier. What a bonus he was. And then you put in Brian Palinde, okay, so who looked really good this spring. He could catch the ball. Everybody thought he was just a blocker. And guess what? He's got hands now, too. So that makes him a weapon. Again, what can you do in this offense? Well, if you got to worry about the deep ball, which Graham Harrell's offense just showed the spring game, now you got to worry about the run. Wow, man, that opens it up for a lot of different things. And the other thing, well, I guess we'll get into quarterbacks in a bit. But I loved about Graham Harrell's offense is he moved the pocket with the quarterback. He moved the pocket, and that helps an offensive lineman so much when they just don't sit there, drop back behind, because sometimes those dudes on the other side are athletes too. They can get by you in the shoulder, and it helps when you're moving away from them.
Yeah, exactly right, and I agree with that. So I wanted to kind of pivot a little bit and talk about what we've all been wanting to talk about, and that's the passing game. So I want to ask Couz and I want to ask Wolfman. Two sort of.
You tell him having fun. This is fun, right? We're talking about the Mountaineers, man.
I'm having a great time. This is awesome. But I wanted to ask two sort of questions. The first one is, who do you think will end up being the go-to receiver, and who do you think will be the breakout receiver? Maybe not the go-to, but maybe somebody we're not familiar with, and they really, show their name this year.
Well, because Sam James and Bryce Ford Wheaton, BFW, because they're already known products, you got to say, Caden Prather, because he's just a freshman. That's now going to be a sophomore, and his skill set is highly, highly desired by any receiver. I'm going to tell you somebody else. He's from Danville, Kentucky, Boyle County High School, same as Neil Brown. That dude right behind me. That way, I guess it's over there. All right, but all he does a lot is catch passes, and I had to go ahead and use that actually for Preston Fox, who just got the scholarship. Yes. But Don't forget about him because you're going to see a lot of underneath routes. That 6 to 8 yard routes from the inside receiver. I think you're going to see a lot of Reese in there making some good catches. Kind of like what Winston Wright Jr. did, right? I mean, he had all those. He led the team in receptions last year. So again, it's that underneath route. He can go deep. He can still do that and trust the middle, and see what you got there. But I like Reese.
I got you. What do you think, Couz?
I like. I think the go-to guy will end up being BFW, just because I think he's ready. I think it's his time. He's a Mountaineer through.
Honestly, I think you got two choices right there. I really do. Two legitimate choices. Absolutely. But I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing at all.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it'll be different every game potentially.
You might be right. Yeah.
Based on the defense and the scheme they're playing, but as far as breakout receivers, I think, and I don't know, I guess you could call it a breakout since he didn't play a lot last year, but I think KP's going to impress some people this year that don't know who he is.
Yeah.
So this is what you do, right? You're sitting there saying, okay, I have 3 receivers that I think are going to be pretty special, probably a 4th one with Reese in there as well. But who are you going to double team? Who are you going to take away? Because that's going to tell you a lot about who you're going to take away and who's going to get the ball. Because you're double teaming over here, and this guy's free over here. I don't know if you can see me in the screen, but I got my hands left and right. Okay, because obviously one takes away from the other, even too. So you don't know. It depends on what they're going to dictate.
That's right. You're exactly right about that. That's a good point.
I really like what I saw.
I would say Prather, though, because isn't Stedman Bailey even working with him? I think Prather is on a level that we don't even realize, and he will end up being that go-to. As far as breakout goes, well, I didn't know much about Preston Fox, and he's already, spring game, he's already made a name for himself. What's he going to do in the regular season? It looks like he could do a lot. So breakout, I would give to Fox. Go-to, maybe not right off the bat, but by the end of the season, I do think the go-to receiver will be Caden Prather.
I got a question to Wolfman about P. Fox, PF as they call him. I heard somebody call him out on the podcast the other day, but
well, that's his Twitter handle.
Oh, is it?
Okay.
Gotcha.
I think. Go look it up.
Okay,
for sure. I know that,
and I need to follow him if I'm not. Anyway,
exactly.
I heard one of another Mountaineer media source on their YouTube channel the other day talking about how he looked good all spring. We all know that, but there was a little bit of question as to whether or not he looked that good because our second team secondary was struggling.
Yeah, well, again, what does he do in a game-like situation? Right. What does he do when there's thousands of people in the stands and there's thousands and tens of thousands watching TV on ESPN Plus, right? Again, that's what you're trying to look at. How does he go out and perform? I don't care if you put our first team corner, Charles. I don't care if you put anyone out there. Who's going to go ahead and make a one-handed catch like that out there? Who's going to do it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a one-handed catch that he laid out all the way. He was level, man.
He's a poster hard. Now. That's a poster now.
That was a special catch.
That's hard. So again, I understand what you're saying. It was a second team player that maybe he was. I don't even know if you could say that was a bad play by him because it was such a great catch. So it's hard to say. But when Neil has seen secondary in the Big 12 for 4 years now, he has seen his players, his wide receivers, and if he feels that Preston Fox, PF, if you want to call him that, deserves a scholarship, well, darn it, I think he does. And I think he's the head coach, and that's why he knows more than I do, although not very much. Don't tell him I said that. Kidding.
No, I mean, I agree with you. I didn't say that. I was just going by what those guys were saying, but and they weren't bashing him at all. I mean, they were just talking about, kind of saying the same thing. Can he do it? Can he do it when the lights are shining on him?
Well, Couz, there's only one way to find out, and that is obviously the ball. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But I watched that kid Morgantown. He played with my son Ozzy. Okay, I've been watching him play for years, and I always thought he had something a little special about him. And so he goes out and works his way into that. I'm all for it.
Yeah, what I thought was cool was during the last episode of your podcast, the Country Roads podcast, they asked Every player they asked who was the most impressive during spring, every one of them said Preston Fox. Every player that they asked a question to.
If you
And
watch that
speaks volumes.
video, they all knew it was Preston before Neil even said it was Preston Fox.
Yeah.
They were already hooting and hollering and jumping. Now, again, if that doesn't fire you up, because number one is I want to cheer up personally every time I see one of those. I don't care if it's from another team. It doesn't matter because I know what those kids must have gone through to work for that position. But when you see a locker room behind one guy jumping and screaming, hooting and hollering, whether they had scholarships or whether the other guys who did not have them, but happy for him, that goes to tell me how great that locker room is. And Couz, you said you watched every episode of the Country Roads Trust, right?
Yes.
Did Amanda or I not give them every opportunity to say what's the best thing about the team this year? And what did they all say? Do you remember?
The locker room. The
locker room. The one where the chemistry is so crappy. The one where people are like, oh, there's a culture problem, right? And you would think that there was one, except that the culture could possibly them. Maybe they were the bad culture, and maybe it was, addition to subtraction, man. So again, if all those guys feel that way, doesn't mean you're going to go out and win games, but it means you got a really good chance to, because you're fighting for your brothers. You've been in those trenches with your brothers, and that means something to them. And trust me, when I've been in the locker room and I see a click here and a click there and a click here, that's just, that's broken pieces, man. That's not a good culture. I don't see that. And again, I say for anyone who's a cynic, right? Say, oh, that's just Wolfman being a cheerleader, right? No way, man. We gave every single one of those guys, all 30 plus of them, an opportunity to say what they thought, and everyone said it was about the culture in the locker room.
There was three times that really, they all said it, but there was three that really stuck out to me. One was yesterday when Coach Brown came out and said we had addition by subtraction. He said that himself. Okay, number one. Yep. First time he's come out and said that. Okay, that's one thing I love about that podcast, man. The openness and honesty is been very refreshing. But two, and they've always been honest, but the openness, I guess I should say, has been very refreshing. The transparency. Two, when you were interviewing, I think it was Nestor. Y'all asked him, he'd only been here a year, and he come and you guys didn't ask him to answer the question a certain way. You simply asked him the question and let him answer it. He said, when I got here, there were a lot of cliques.
Yeah.
There were some issues in the locker room.
Yeah.
And he says that doesn't exist anymore.
And what did I say to him? I said, hey, just tell it, man. What is it? Don't let me answer it for you. Don't let me put words in your mouth. Right. Just go ahead and say it. And of course they did, because they were told to say what they feel, because they know that Amanda nor I are out there to submarine them.
Yeah.
They know that. They know that we're here to promote and say what's good about West Virginia. If you remember what the other question I asked everybody is, what's good about West Virginia University? And they all had their different answers, but you had to sit there and say what's good, and then what's the other thing is, what's the locker room like? What's going on? What's the mentality? Is there a bad culture going on? No, there's not.
And then the other thing, and then I'll let Golden Blue do talk. I'm taking over the show here, but
no, you're good.
No, I'm taking over the show.
Yeah, this is Wolfman show. This
Chad
is Wolfman show.
I
think it was Chad Scott. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I don't know if this was on your podcast or in a press conference, but I think it was Chad Scott. It was one of the assistant coaches made a comment that they were walking through the facilities, and in every single position room, there were guys in there studying film on their own time.
Wow.
In every room. And it wasn't just one guy, it was multiple guys on their own time without being asked to do it. Man, I'm telling you that right there, when you get a group of guys that are doing that, number one, it speaks of chemistry, because you've probably got one or two leaders saying, let's go, guys, let's go watch some film, and everybody follows. And number two, they're hungry, man. They're hungry to be better. And they're hungry to beat the four-letter word up north, especially Dante, because I saw the look on his face when you guys asked him about that game in that last podcast.
He's looking
that
forward
guy
to
wants
it.
to beat Pitt bad.
Yeah, that's awesome. That it's one
Any
thing.
good Mountaineer would say that. Any good Mountaineer. Okay.
That's
If you
exactly
don't
what I was
say
about
it,
to
you're
say.
not a good Mountaineer.
Yes, that's it. And that's why in the off season, whenever we saw these players in the transfer portal, and the fan base, oh, that was a starter. That was a start. Oh, culture problem. What's going on in Morgantown? And I would be like, hold on, guys, hold on. We don't know what that dude's influence on the locker room was. We don't know if he was going to fit into the schemes going into the next year. People just like to knee-jerk react and act like the sky is falling, and it looks like what Neil Brown is saying, addition through subtraction, is exactly what West Virginia needed, because there was a lot of you saw clicks and people butting heads like that. So that's why I tried to lay off the knee-jerk reaction, and we're seeing the fruits of that paying off already.
Yeah, I've been fighting that for quite a bit now. But, let's just go to the other side and flip it over and say, hey, there are some subtractions that you would sit there and was a really kind of it hurt. Akeem Mesidor hurt. There's no doubt about it. But Akeem, who now? He's gone. He's not a Mountaineer this year. That's what I'm saying. So good luck to you, brother. I really hope the best. I even said this spring game, I really liked him. And best wish in the future, but he's not my concern anymore. The Mountaineers that are on this team are my concern. And how do we get better with them and not worry about what's not there? And all these coaches have taken that position, and I would say most of the players that we've talked to have done that as well. So again, I like my chances for guys that like to rally around each other than guys that are over here saying, "Oh, look at that guy. He dropped a pass. I should be playing over him." Shoot, man. Oh, well, yeah, you're like, yeah, okay, so I really support your guy. No, man. It's like, listen, I want you to succeed. I want me to succeed. I want this team to succeed. And when you can go ahead and get that, especially in today's culture of football, not West Virginia's culture, college football, where you have transfer portal, you have NIL, you have jealousies of name, image, and likeness. Who's getting paid the most? Why am I not getting paid this? Why is he getting paid that? And if you can start doing that with your team, now I don't doubt that there might be. I don't know anyone, but there might be some moves here before Mayday. Don't you know what I mean? That's just the way of college football is gonna be. Get used to it, because until they find out that the grass is not always greener on the other side. And I can point out Mountaineer after Mountaineer that are now playing at a different level than Power 5, that went down. Okay, many of them did. That went down, that the grass is not greener on the other side. And they will learn that. They will learn it. But right now, it's too easy to grab in the cookie jar. You know what I mean? I can take two or three instead of one.
And that's, I wish the fan base itself would learn to have a happy medium. Like whenever a player enters the transfer portal, they either freak out or they trash talk the person headed into the transfer portal. Well, I'm switching over to basketball just for a second. For an example, today, Emmett Matthews Jr. is coming back to West Virginia. Okay, what about all those fans that trash talked him on the way out? Now they're probably regretting doing that. So whenever
wait a minute, did I trash talk him?
Do what?
Did I trash talk him?
No,
I don't think so. I'm good. Evan and I are good. No, Evan and I are good.
No, I'm thinking of somebody else.
Hey, you know what? Welcome back, Evan. You want to be a Mountaineer again? Coach is good with you coming back and everything. That's fine. Come on back. This is all different. It's all different, man. Lots of mixed emotions. Lots of crazy stuff has been going on. We're just trying to figure out our way through this. It will get better.
Yeah, I just think whenever the fan base overreacts like we do sometimes, it could hurt these decisions by these athletes that maybe they were considering West Virginia, but then they see, oh, that fan base, I don't know if I want to play for them, because if I make a mistake over there, they're going to jump down my neck, So let's kind of try to find an even keel. We can still be passionate, but we don't have to be straight up mean to people all the time.
What did I tell you when I first met you the first time on the show? It's like, the team's got to rally around each other. And then the university's got to rally around each other. And then, of course, you have the state rally around each other, right? All positive, building each other up, okay? Instead of, you can have constructive criticism, that's okay. But then you have Mountaineer, Mountaineer Nation building up around that. So you got your 4 levels. Now, what good could come out of that instead of listening to negativity and tear down the programs? I don't care what sport, okay? Again, the teams together, we're good. We got a good nucleus, okay? The university's good. We got an even better nucleus and the surrounding. The state is good, and then Mountaineer Nation is good. And that's where we get the 4 handshakes, and everyone goes, yeah, West Virginia Mountaineers. That's how you do it. Because negativity builds nothing. Crumbles.
100% agree. 100% agree. Go ahead, Couz.
No, I agree. And, I'm not going to sit here and lie. I've been guilty of bashing guys before when they leave because it hurts, man. I love my state, and I just can't wrap my mind around why anybody would want to leave West Virginia University, right? So when they want to leave, I'm like, why? Why would you want to leave this place? But then I got to step back and realize that not everybody has the same passion and pride for the Flying WV that we do.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, let me just say this, okay? And as bad as you feel, and rightfully so, you feel that way, and rightfully so, I felt that way with many of them. How would you be as you're a coach when you just put in 40-hour weeks, 50-hour weeks with them, and building them up for years? Okay, they come to you and they got all these issues, right? My girlfriend just broke up with me, right? Or I got a family member who's not doing well, whether it be with a job or sick health-wise. There are so many issues that come up because we're all human beings. And we all live in a world where there's issues that happen. And these coaches, they sit there and they deal with this all the time. You know why Neil Brown sat there and he looked like he got punched in the gut?
Yep.
Because with the game, he did a lot to that young man. But again, that's his choice to leave. But again, it still hurts, man. And that's when you know you got a guy that cares about the program. Because you saw him, and I felt really bad for him because he didn't know what to say because he knows he did everything he could for Akeem Messidor. Everything he could. And if people want to say anything about NIL or money-wise, Akeem was Canadian. He was not allowed for NIL. He could not do NIL, name, image, likeness. So it had nothing to do with the move. Nothing to do with the move, okay? His excuse, I didn't buy that anyways, but because I'm not going to Miami if I feel that way, if I'm Morgantown. Okay, that's just the truth. And what else I want to finish up with? But I want everybody to know is that NIL had nothing to do with that because he's Canadian and foreigners can't do NIL. I don't know if everybody knows that.
I didn't know that. I honestly did not know that. Well, I knew he was Canadian, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together.
Only reason I knew it is because of the whole Oscar Sheboy thing. It just came out. See, Oscar was finally able to get NIL. He just got an NIL deal like a month ago because he had been trying to get his visa status or whatever changed, and he wasn't eligible for NIL until like a month ago.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at they can go back to Canada and get it. They could go ahead and get some kind of sponsoring in their home country, but again, you look at Victor Wickstrom. I mean, all of our guys. We got like 5 guys that are international that aren't allowed to do that. So that is a little difficulty for them. But it is what it is right now. But I just want to make sure I cleared the air there because I don't think many people knew that. And it was not the thing.
I do because I honestly had forgotten about that he was from Canada. So I appreciate you bringing that to light.
Yeah,
real quick,
exactly.
Joey put a message on here. I think he wanted me to share because he wants Wolfman to pick a random person out of the chat room. Can you see the people in the chat room, Wolf?
No.
You can't?
How the heck would I do that?
Okay.
Do I hit chat?
Yeah. If there's a chat or a comments icon. Yeah, comments. Look for the comments.
She says chat with everyone in the studio, and I see nobody.
Okay. Well,
that might be private chat.
Anyway, he was going to give away. He wants to give away an autographed copy of Eugene Napoleon's book Reflections to someone in the chat, but he wanted Wolfman to pick them out. But if Wolfman can't see the chat, it's not going to work.
No, I see it now. I don't know if he's. Yeah. All right. What's this? Keith Hawkins. Go ahead, Keith. That's my buddy right there. We'll see what he wants to say. What's the question?
The coaches have a lot invested these players, and there are a lot of emotion involved in that investment.
Yes.
That's what we were just talking about, right?
Yeah.
Everything they do for these guys, they do it not only for the jobs, but also for their hearts. They actually become really kind of like family members. If you ever look at the Twitter or the Facebook and you see these coaches' wives and how they're invested into these players as well, because they have them at their homes all the time. They really do become almost family members, if not family.
Right.
Oh yeah, definitely. So
all right, how's that? How's that for Joey? Get him off my back.
What is that? Is that who you want to get the book?
Oh, Joey? Okay,
No.
yeah, get Keith the book. Yeah, get
right.
Keith the
right,
book.
Keith Hawkins is who Wolfman picked. Very good. Very good. I like it.
That is a homer. That was a homer give, though. Because he's my friend. But I'm just giving it to him anyways.
Joey didn't put any
stipulations.
Hey, Joey didn't put any stipulations on it. If he wanted that to be a rule,
that's on Joey.
then he should have put it in the rule book.
See, I just learned how to figure out that chapter. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, we'll give some more stuff away though. It's all good.
Hey, sometimes Wolfman, sometimes the chats distract me, man, and I can't pay attention to two things at one time.
Oh yes, that happens to me a lot. Hey, so all right, so before we get out of here, guys, one last thing we have to talk about: the quarterback situation. Now, we all know JT Daniels was not in the spring game, and everybody thinks that he's going to be the starter. That's the assumption. Now, things could change. Injury, somebody actually beat him out, but that's the assumption right now. So the assumption was that what we saw in spring game was playing for the backup position. So what were some things that you liked and who impressed you the most?
Well, I got to say that Goose stole the show. Obviously, with the play that he had there, and he was on a roll for quite a while. You saw Garrett Green throw a little bit of consistent, but he made some big plays, especially for those two down there to Bryce Ford Wheaton. Again, as he can make the plays, he just has got to show that. I thought maybe he had the best spring overall, being older, controlled the offense. Just a little bit there. He could have had a little bit better, especially with the pick to Aubrey Burks.
Do you think he gets amped up too much and it kind of gets him the jitter? Because it looks like he settles into it as the game goes on. But, man, in the beginning, it looks like he's so jacked up that it maybe messes with his play.
Well, he's a competitor. And, again, I really like him. Got him out on the move in the pocket because that's where I think he can really excel there. So, again, good showing for Garrett Green. All three quarterbacks did. And Nico Marchio. Get that Italian army ready for him. You know, I said in the broadcast, Franco Harris, the Italian army. Well, Nico, man, get him ready for him because I think he has got some really special qualities about him. I said in the broadcast, in the Country Roads Trust podcast, could be the most mature 12th grader I've ever met. You know, again, she'll be going to his prom date, but he was out there leading the offense. He's got legs. You know, he's got legs. He's a left-handed guy. A little different. He's got some different stuff to him, and he's going to be just fine. You know, whatever happens, and I'm not saying who it is because Goose stole the show, in my opinion. And I would say that Garrett did some really good things that you have to look at as a quarterback coach and say, okay, yeah, we can do some stuff here. And then, of course, Nico, who's just taking it all in, just trying to be that player, and he did some good stuff. I mean, how about that? I said it in the broadcast, man. That was Major Harris' 70 quarterback draw where the whole Red Sea parted in the red zone, right? And he took it in his legs and he used it, ran for a touchdown. That's instinct now. That is instinct. You don't teach that right off the bat. So, again, I like the three quarterbacks. Like the idea that we got another guy coming in. Don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be fun. Fun to watch. Fun to find out. Let's go, Mountaineers. Let's have some fun. Let's get it done, and let's stand behind them.
I think once the game slows down for Nico, because that's one thing that a lot of people don't realize is, you know, from high school to college, the game gets faster, and then from college to the NFL, the game gets faster. He's a true freshman, and I don't think the game
He's not a true freshman. He's a 12th grader.
Oh, okay. I keep forgetting that.
Think about it. Because you got a
You
stubborn ball.
just said it, and I still forgot it. You just said it, and I still forgot it. But I think once the game slows down for that guy, he's going to be lights out. And he's not, pass heavy or run heavy. I think he'll be able to do both very, very well. I think he's a little bit better of a passer, but do not discount his legs. The dude can scramble.
The dude can scramble. The dude can throw a ball. The dude can win. And that's what you love about him. And that's why he's the Gatorade Player of the Year in Arizona. And he won so many other darn awards. I just want to leave you with this one last thing about Nico. How many quarterbacks you ever know were high school heavyweight, or not heavyweight, high school wrestling champions?
Oh.
A quarterback.
No, none.
You think he's got some toughness to him? You think when he won those games in high school, he brought the team back? You think a little bit of that wrestling wasn't instilled in there? You think a little bit of that swagger he has, being a state champion wrestler, being a state champion quarterback, a Gatorade Player of the Year, best player in the state of Arizona. You think that's got some swagger to do? You think West Virginia's got a lot of hope to watch to see what this kid can do down the road? Let's get him to his prom date, and then let's get him ready to go for the Mountaineers this spring or fall, excuse me.
Exactly. Couz, lead us out of here. Give your final thoughts on the quarterback situation.
I think. I was obviously very impressed with Goose. I thought he looked comfortable out there. Didn't get rattled at all. The moment. Of course, I know it was a spring game, but still, the moment didn't seem too big for him. Throws a beautiful ball. Garrett, I felt like showed. That one pass he threw to the sideline to Caden Prather was beautiful. He put it right on the money, but then he threw the pick. It was a terrible decision. And that's the one thing that concerns me about him is Coach Brown has said over and over, he's got to stop making the plays that kill us.
Forcing. Yeah,
because he does great things, but then he'll make a play that can hurt you. And your starting quarterback can't do that.
Yep.
So if he can get that under control, then I think he's got a great chance to be a really good quarterback. Can he do it is the question. I think he can, but will he? And then like Nico's Nico, man. I think he can live up to the hype. Honestly, he didn't look like a high school senior out there to me. Honestly,
the Italian Army.
He looked like a guy who's been there before. What's that?
The Italian Army.
He looked like somebody who's been there before.
Go to Blue Dude. Listen, man. Hey, go to my YouTube channel, Dale the Wolfman, Wolfley, and you can see on ESPN the spring game. Go ahead and do that. All right, it's just right there. You click on it, man, and you can watch the whole thing.
I was literally about to ask you to tell people where they can find you. You just did it. You read my mind. Great chemistry here. I can feel it. Couz from Couz's Corner. Don't forget to sub to his channel and make sure to put that apostrophe between the Z and the S. It'll help you find the channel faster. So Couz's Corner, subscribe to that, and find Golden Blue Dude and subscribe to that as well, because that's all we do, college football. Mostly West Virginia, but we cover other teams as well. We do the best that we can. And on your way out of the chat, hit the like button to help the video hit the YouTube algorithm. All right, guys? But we're going to wrap this up. I hope everybody enjoyed it. And we appreciate you guys coming on and supporting, because there is no show without an audience, because, we can talk back and forth all we want, but if there's no audience, then there's no show. So we want to make sure to tell everybody that we appreciate y'all for showing up and watching and putting up with me. Really, it's about Couz and Wolfman. You're just putting up with me. So I appreciate that, guys.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. I think it's about the glasses.
It is.
Love the glasses. I love the glasses, man. I think the shades are what makes the Golden Blue Dude.
Well, that's funny, because I went on the West Virginia podcast. They do all things West Virginia. They're in like 44 different countries. So I went on their podcast, and they were like, is that your Superman cape? I'm like, huh? They're like, yeah. But whenever we talked to you before you went on the podcast, you're a completely different person. And then you put on the sunglasses, and it's like you turn into Golden Blue Dude. And I was like,
Alter ego.
I didn't even realize that happened. I didn't even realize that happened. And everybody says that. Once I get in front of the camera and put on the shades, I'm a different person. So
You just keep
it's
being you,
funny that
man.
you said that. It's all about the shades, right?
Yep. Just keep being you.
That's it,
All right,
man.
guys. I'm
Do
good.
it. All right, y'all have a good night. Appreciate everybody stopping by. Don't forget, next Friday, 8 p.m., another live show. Be here.
Thanks, everybody.